Hello, and welcome to the third bonus episode of Cora's Place. I'm so glad you've chosen to join me for today's conversation. In today's episode, I'll be talking about my favorite activities from over the summer working at camp. As always, if you like what you hear, please leave a review and/or comments, follow my podcast, and tell your friends. Also, please follow the podcast page I've made on Facebook. If you'd like to contact me via email instead of a Facebook message, you can email me at corachin@mailbox.org. If you are new here, welcome. I'm your host, Cora, and I am so excited to have you on this journey with me. Before I get into today's topic, I wanted to give you a little disclaimer about something. I was originally planning to make this episode about my favorite day and week of working at the camp and explain why they were my favorite. However, after thinking about it and trying to write it for a while, I decided to postpone the episode for a little longer so that I could make it better and have some extra time to write it instead of rushing through it and doing a bad job on it. Now, let's get into the episode. Today, I want to talk about my favorite activities from my summer working at camp, either activities I did with the staff or things I did individually on my own. There were several different fun things that I did on my own this summer, and there were also several things we did together as a camp staff this summer, some of which I've already mentioned in the last 2 episodes, but I will still mention them here for those that are just joining my podcast for the first time. Some of the activities that we did together as a staff were listening to music while cleaning the dining hall after meals, watching some of The Chosen on the last week of camp, which was a rental week for our evening devotions, going on hay rack rides, going to fireworks on the 4th of July, watching movies or playing games with the staff when the staff would get to attend chapel with the campers, just talking together with people, going to different places on the weekends, going to church, drinking hot chocolate on Sunday mornings at church with chocolate caramel creamer in it, going out to eat a couple of times, decorating cookies for 4th of July, going out to the river and out for ice cream on our last night together, when all of the staff girls would gather in the hallway outside our rooms at night before bed to talk and pray. One time, we got to go pick up one of our staff girls from her house, and we hung out at her house for a little while to eat dinner, swim, and we did a team building exercise as well. We also went swimming, watched a movie outside one night, went on the camp's zip line a couple of times, had a staff softball game, did some team building exercises as a staff, doing a little staff parade for all the families on 4th of July, blasting music while driving and singing at the top of our lungs, going on a slip and slide multiple times one evening, hiking at a state park that's about an hour or so from the camp one day when we had the day off. The staff also got to play a big game of Clue to train for when the campers would do it. We had so many games involved for Clue that a lot of the staff got to run one of the mini games when the campers played. I didn't usually get to run a game for it since we usually had a lot of staff, but I liked playing it when the staff tested it out. My favorite game from it was probably either carpet ball or mini golf. Some parts of the games were easy, and some were a little more challenging. When our staff did it, there were some games where everyone did the activity, and there were some where only a few people did the activity. There were activities like shooting hoops, carpet ball, a climbing wall, one hole of mini golf, putting a puzzle together, beanbag toss/cornhole, a frisbee toss, soccer, and a few others. I don't remember what the others were off the top of my head, though. I had a little more downtime some days than I did on other days during the summer. It just depended on how many campers we had in a week, and if I had to do camp store or the snack store in the afternoons or evenings. I really only did the snack store. They call it the canteen/snack shack, actually, but I know it as the canteen from when I was a camper, when I was younger. So I usually just call it the canteen still. I did the canteen maybe a couple of times in the afternoon, but I feel like I mostly did it at night. The afternoons in the canteen weren't usually too crazy. And popcorn were available. We had drumsticks or ice cream Snickers available both in the afternoons and the evenings, though. There were also other snacks like chips, candy, or slushies, but sometimes the slushies weren't ready in the afternoons. We usually had 4 people in the canteen at once during the night shift, and 2 people during the afternoons. 2 cashiers and 2 runners. One of the cashiers was called a head cashier. The head cashier was in charge of delegating preparation tasks and cleaning tasks to people, counting out the cash box at the end of the shift, grabbing the different things needed for the shift before opening, computers, cash box, money bag, key, etc., or telling someone to grab them, and that kind of thing. When the canteen was open in the afternoons, there were only 2 cashiers and no runners, since it usually wasn't quite as busy. Sometimes we would still get a long line in there. It isn't a super big building, so we couldn't really fit a lot of people in there without it being really crowded. When it would get really crazy in the evenings, I would try to fill 2 orders at the same time when I was able to, in hopes that doing so would make it a little faster and easier to get through the line. Some of my favorite activities I did on my own were going for walks, listening to music or podcasts, playing random things on the keyboard in the basement of the staff building, relaxing on my bed, talking on the phone with friends or family, working on things for this podcast when I could, watching TV shows on my own, playing a little bit of carpet ball with myself one day when I was bored, shooting hoops, writing a couple letters, taking naps, sending Marco Polo messages to friends, messaging people, writing, etc. I also liked reading a book sometimes too. I didn't do as much reading over the summer as I would have liked due to being really busy sometimes or being really tired in my downtime, but I did do a little bit over the summer when I had a chance and wasn't super tired. I enjoy reading and wish I could do it more at times, but I also like doing other hobbies too, like music, writing, baking, cooking, or podcasting. I didn't really have a ton of books with me at the camp to just read for fun, but I had 1 or 2 with me. I think most of the other books I had with me were just devotionals. With the downtime I did have, I usually just tried to catch up on phone notifications or that kind of thing because I didn't really carry my phone with me at all while I was working. I usually just left it upstairs in the staff building by my bed while working. Sometimes I had it with me when I was working, but it was super rare. Really only if I felt it was absolutely necessary. Like weather checking purposes if there was severe weather. If I needed my login information for the point of sale system in a canteen or camp store, or for music if I was cleaning somewhere on my own. I usually didn't need to have my phone with me though while we worked, as I was usually with other people who either played music or sometimes we'd talk while cleaning or otherwise working if we were together. If I was independently cleaning, I would sometimes play music or a podcast episode. I definitely heard several new songs over the summer and I liked that a lot. I made a playlist of songs on Spotify that remind me of the summer at camp. I love listening to that playlist. It is one of my most favorite playlists as of the recording of this episode. I have made playlists of my favorite or helpful songs from 2020, 2022, and 2023 so far as of the recording of this episode. I somehow missed making a playlist of favorites from 2021 though. Some of the favorites on there are either ones I play a lot in that particular year or ones that are really meaningful to me because of a situation that happened that year. I guess you could kind of call it a musical time capsule in a way, because when you listen to the songs in those playlists, it can make you think of specific situations in which those songs were encouraging to you. Sometimes there is a song or several that would really speak to me during a challenging time of my life, so whenever I hear those songs now, it makes me think of those memories, and it's really encouraging to my heart. I definitely have a lot of really meaningful songs in playlists. Sometimes I can hear a song many times, but it isn't as meaningful to me at that point, but then when I go through something hard in life and hear it during that time, it can sometimes become really meaningful to me. There are some songs on the playlist that are a little random and not necessarily encouraging, but maybe they are just new to me or fun from a specific year. Usually for me, those playlists have multiple genres and not just one. It just kind of depends on what I listen to or add in a particular year. Making playlists like that is one of my favorite parts every year. It's definitely something I enjoy, and I can go back to listen to them whenever I want to once that year is over. I would recommend doing that if that is something you think you would like to get into for yourself. Please feel free to reach out and let me know if you would like to do that but need some help, song suggestions, or even if you just have questions regarding this. I would love to help you do that in any way I possibly can if I am able to. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please follow, leave a comment and or review of my podcast if you haven't already, and please follow my podcast page on Facebook so you never miss an update. If you have any verses you'd like me to read on a future episode, or if you have any topics you'd like me to talk about, you can email me at corachin@mailbox.org, send me a message on my podcast page on Facebook, or a voice message through the link in the show notes, and I will get back to you when I can. Hope you tune in next week for the 4th bonus episode.